Welcome to Better Bachelor. This is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. So, The Last of Us, a video game that is coming out from, I think it's Naughty Dog as the developer, is so woke, it's so bad that 70% of the programmers have quit during its making. Now, I'm going to put in a little quick annotation here, and it has a lot to do with the story, so bear with me. If you have an opinion and you think it's a good opinion, switch the color of the person you're talking about, switch the gender of the person you're talking about. Put yourself in those shoes. In other words, if I were to say, and I don't feel this way, but I'm using this as an example, if I were to say, women are not intelligent enough to vote. They shouldn't be allowed to vote. Only men should vote for things. If you think that's a good statement to say, pause for a moment and reverse it and say, if a woman said, I don't think men should vote, they're not intelligent enough to vote. If that makes you say, well, that's BS, or that's stupid, or that's an awful thing to say, then you know that your statement is not a good thing to say from your direction. You're going to at least make 50% of the population upset with you. So keep that in mind when I read this story, and you'll see why at the end there's a very pertinent point as to why Naughty Dog and The Last of Us 2 is going off a cliff. It's gone so woke that it'll just get crashed and burned. Who they're making this for, I don't know. Now, we know in the United States about 70% of the population is Caucasian. So if you were to say something bad about the Caucasian people, that is going to instantly take away 70% of your market. And many of the games our game players are male. So if you were to then make fun of men in your game and paint them as the bad people, you're going to remove them from your game. And most of the United States, as far as religion, is Christian. And if you were to say something bad about Christians, you're going to take them out of the game. Who are you left selling this game to? Really nobody. So let's get into the story, and you'll see what I'm talking about and why this is a game that's going to cost the company a lot of money. The Last of Us 2 gameplay leak comes from dev that hates its divisiveness. In other words, this is so bad that a developer said, I'm going to share this with people so they know what's going on before they spend money on the game. They wanted to let everybody know. And remember, this is the company they work for, so you can tell they're really upset about it. It says plenty of spoiler-ridden footage was leaked online by alleged disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. The Last of Us 2 leaked gameplay footage was supposedly released because they hate the political bias in the game. Earlier this year, Sony DMCA'd a post that alleged to contain the game's entire plot, and if it was a legitimate leak, it proved to be extremely divisive with some of its far left-leaning plot elements. Now, if you watched, if I can remember, I'll try to put a little flag up above here. If you watched, I just did HBO's coverage. Their HBO is going to be doing a TV show based on the game, and the TV show has gone right off woke central. I mean, it's gone far, far left. So this is going to be the game that they're going to be making the TV show about. And at first, it was, I played The Last of Us, the original game, and I thought it was good. But then when you saw what they were doing, HBO was doing with this, I said, well, why are they twisting the game? Why are they changing so much of the game to fit this new narrative? Apparently, they're just following the script that Naughty Dog did in the second game. So really, HBO is just copying what they put forward here. It says Troy Baker, the voice actor for Joel in the Last of Us series, later confirmed that the game was super polarizing and it could not be thoroughly enjoyed with a closed mind. Now, what do they mean by a closed mind? Maybe having opinions about something or thinking? I mean, even if you're completely open-minded, I'm open-minded, but if you're going to bash men and you're going to bash Caucasians and you're going to bash this and this and this and this, well, I'm open-minded, but I'm not going to have you just bash me, and I'm going to pay you money to play a game that's going to bash me. That would be stupid. They say, I want people to go in open-minded to the story and allow Joel and Ellie to tell their story, not the story that people think they want to be told. If people go in open-minded to this thing, I think they'll have a completely different experience than if they go in closed-minded, Troy Baker told Fandom. I'm okay with you so far. I'm an open-minded guy. I don't mind a little bit of interesting storytelling. I'm okay with that. People took the leak with a grain of salt, since at that point, this was nothing more than hearsay. However, the recent Last of Us Part 2 gameplay leak has pretty much confirmed that the original source's claims, which now makes us believe that the Last of Us 2 plot leak was in fact legitimate. Now here they show, it says, Dev hates the Last of Us Part 2 gameplay footage leaks confirms strong alphabet community themes. And here they have, two of the young characters, which are female, being in a romantic relationship. I'm okay with that. You still haven't hit anything that really strikes a chord. I mean, yes, it's 2%, 1% of the population, but if you want to represent that 1 or 2%, hey, that's you. That's you. I'm fine. The anonymous source linked to Naughty Dog Inc. reached out to tell us the following message regarding The Last of Us 2 gameplay footage leak. I don't doubt even for a moment that this leak came from the studio. The Last of Us Part 2 is very divisive, and as you can imagine, some of the team aren't really thrilled to be working on the game. Well, it must be really divisive if programmers and developers don't want to work on it, because they do all sorts of different themed games. The source goes on to talk about how stale the work environment has been at Naughty Dog and how many people have had to bite their tongues because cancel culture is very much alive inside of the studio. Okay, so now we know they're going very far left here. Okay, so it says, many people would agree with me that this has been one of the worst projects they've ever had to work on, one of the developers says. And it's not just because some people disagree with the plot. Even though some of the team members are Christians, and it doesn't necessarily agree with the game's message, they're also professionals and can put their personality or their personal politics aside to get the job done. What really sucks about all of this is the working environment. Okay, so they're saying maybe that's not putting Christians in a good light, but again, even if you are a Christian person, they're saying, hey, I'm still okay to work through this, not a big deal, but the politics in the office, not so good. The team is very much divided on the game, and even voicing your concerns on its story will upset certain individuals. It usually results in said person being called closed-minded or even phobic or in some such nonsense. I've got motorcycles riding around the neighborhood for some reason today, so I apologize for the pauses while they go by. So they have to bite their tongues for fear of losing their jobs, even careers, to an outrage mob. They continue on. So can you imagine working in an environment when someone says, hey, I think this is a good idea, and you go, hold on, let's look at our demographics. Maybe this isn't such a good direction to go, or this isn't such a good message to send. And they say to you, oh, you must be phobic, or you must be a bad person. Or when you can't voice your opinions because it differs from others and the cancel culture comes from you, this is not a place you want to work. I mean, you're instantly out. Our source also alleged that with high turnover in staff is because of the reasons mentioned above. What's really sad is that nobody is allowed to talk about any of this. Many employees have left Naughty Dog because in-house politics, and they are under a strict NDA and absolutely cannot discuss the studio's production practices secrets. Oops. They literally put that in the article. Oops. So now you're starting to shut down anybody. Just be a slave. Just be the hive mind. Just do as you're told. Don't question. Don't come up with creative ideas. Don't try to change our message on brand here. Well, that's a good way to get just about everybody involved to quit. Because, you get into game development so you can use your creativity, so you can put your artistic touch on things. And if that's being shamed, well, it gets worse. Hang with me because it gets worse. Naughty Dog Inc. has a turnover rate of 70%, which skyrocketed around the time The Last of Us Part 2 went into production. Our sources' claim have been corroborated by a former Naughty Dog animator, Jonathan Cooper, who left them in early October last year. And you can see here a picture. It says Naughty Dog Dev Team 2020 celebrate International Women's Day and trans rights. And you can see here every one of them in this photo is of the women on the staff. Now, I don't see any blue hair, so that's a good start. But this is a surprisingly large amount of women for a development staff for a game. Usually the programmers and the devs are men, just as one of the industries where it's usually men. Jonathan Cooper alleged that Neil Druckmann would force employees to sign a very strict NDA upon leaving Naughty Dog, or he'd withhold their final paycheck. A source added, it was primarily the senior team that left Naughty Dog, and to assume that's because of long work hours is laughable. Anybody that has ever worked in game development knows that this is a crock of crap. Since I can remember, development has always been like this. Get to work, chug coffee, and don't leave until you've completed the task that you've been assigned for the day. It's part of the fun. It's part of the lifestyle. What's not fun is working in a toxic environment. And again, so it used to be a little bit of maybe a boys club, but they were all on the same page. And you have senior staff leaving. Why would senior staff leave? Because the company's being taken in a direction, or the project's being taken in a direction they do not support. Here's the big reveal, okay? The Last of Us Part 2 villains are allegedly phobic Christians, alphabet-phobic Christians. So it's understandable that it would be very difficult for a Christian to work on the game. Now, they don't have this in this story, but they have it in the HBO story, where the bad guys in this particular game are also all men, all of them. They even have parts in the game where it says the women refuse to be left alone with any man, and they even say, well, yes, but he's a good man, but he has the ability to still do bad things, bad actions, and as such, I don't trust him. It's very, very telling. So now Sony has yet to announce an official release date, and the game has been indefinitely delayed due to the bug. If you don't mind politically divisive and seemingly very linear games, then we strongly recommend that you do your best to avoid any kind of spoilers, especially The Last of Us gameplay footage. If you don't know what's coming, you'll definitely be shocked. And they ask if you're still gonna pick it up. The answer is no to that. So here's what I don't understand developers doing and this is what I was talking about in the beginning of my video when I said put yourselves in. Okay, let's change this. The Last of Us 2 villains are allegedly alphabet disliking trans women that are black. All of a sudden you're like, wait, why are they the bad guys? Why would you make this community the bad, right? They had video games for a while where Russians were the bad guys. And that was during the 80s, or I should say the early 90s. And then there was a message, oh, let's not do that. So then they said, okay, we'll make it the Middle East. Middle East people are the bad guys because it was around 9/11 in 2000, and we were attacked. So we said, okay, we'll make those the bad guys. Well, now that's not good because you're not allowed to critique or be harsh on the Muslim community. Okay, let's make aliens and zombies the bad guys. And that's why most games today are aliens and zombie bad guys, because we don't want to portray us going to war with a different country. Well, you have to take that same view and put it in, if you don't want the bad guys to be a woman of color that's also a phobic, let me see if I can get this out in one sentence because I'm trying to watch my words. If you don't want the bad guys to be women of color that are also phobic and are also Muslim, would that be okay to be the bad guys in a video game? If the answer to that is no, then it's not okay to make the bad guys exclusively Caucasian and male and Christian. You can't do, it's just a bad message. You're going to offend everybody of that ilk. As such, who are most of the games, at least here in the United States, the game players are definitely male, definitely at least at a 70% population rate accordingly, Caucasian. Same thing in most of Europe. I'd say that they're along the same lines. So when you've done this and you've isolated such a large core group of gamers, and then you're trying to make this more about the message and the branding versus the actual gameplay, people are out. And this is it for this game. It's going to go right down the toilet. And I don't know why. I know that companies are trying to get this message out that this is okay and this is acceptable and you need to involve everyone in the community. Well, if you tell me, hey, you need to accept the alphabet community and they exist and you have to accept their lifestyle. Okay, I do. That's fine. You have to accept all races. That's fine. You have to accept women doing that's fine. Oh, that's fine. But when you say the way we're going to promote that is we're going to put down men and we're going to make them all the bad guys, and we're going to put down Caucasians, we're going to make them all the bad guys, and we're going to put down Christians and we're going to make them all the bad guys, that is unacceptable. It would be just as unacceptable to make all the bad guys alphabet people of color that are Muslim. I would not like that game anymore because you're taking one group of people and you're branding them. Why can't the bad guys not have any religion involved with them? Why can't they be women and men? Why can't they be all different? Or you shouldn't even have to talk about the religion in the game. Just make them people that don't like other people. That's how you do this. But no, you have to take it and you have to bring across your brand and go woke. And it's so bad, 70% of the employees left the company because of it, or 70% of the upper management left the company because of it. Once again, you go woke, you're going to get broke, you're going to have problems getting this out there. And if you, as a programmer or in anyone in the world, if you think your message is good and you're trying to push a narrative, look at it from the other side. Look at it as how would you accept this if you're part of the group that's being attacked? And if you say no, then what you're doing is going to offend the other group, and you have to chill on that because you're going to ruin whatever product you're trying to put out. And the end message is we're not going to become accepting of these other groups. We're going to end up disliking these other groups because you're forcing it down our throats with a bad message. You're putting us down and saying, hey, you need to accept this. You need to accept this. You need to accept this. And while you're accepting it, we also don't like you, and you're bad, and you're part of the problem. No one's going to accept that message. Just put the message out and say, look, this is who we are, and we just want to be part of the community. I'm okay with that. I find that acceptable, almost to any degree of whatever group you're trying to represent. You want to be part of everybody else, you let your flag fly. You do your own thing. But when you're going to put me down to raise your message up, I'm out. And I can no longer listen to your message, and I'll no longer participate in your TV shows, your movies. I'll no longer buy your products, and I'll no longer play your games. I'm not paying $50 or $60 to get preached to. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. Guys, if you'd like to support my work, links are below. Thank you for all of you that have dug deep and done so for me. I appreciate it. The best way you can support me, like, comment, share, subscribe. Guys, we'll leave it there. This is Better Bachelor. I'm woke. This is Better Bachelor. I'm Joker, and Woker is not going to get you any more fans. You're going down a path that too many people are not willing to follow because you're attacking them when you go down this road.